Monster Mod, man. We back to back with it. You already know. Back to back we spinning, and back to back we drilling. If you don't know that song, then you just don't know about nothing. You feel me? But hey, man, that was another video. I'm not about to waste y'all time. I'm about to go ahead and get straight into it. And we be back with another reaction video to Mr. Nightmare. These videos be hitting, in my opinion. 3 unnerving true college dorm horror stories. And I want to know what the story is. So let's get it.
Sell online and grow your business with Wix e-commerce. Create a beautiful storefront.
I don't know what that was about. Alright, gang chief, let's get it. Let's get it, gangy. By Ethan.
Back in college, my junior year, we lived in a suite on campus. There were 4 dorm rooms in the suite. There was half of my friend group in the suite, and we all shared a common room and a small kitchenette. Our friend Cody, who was originally in the suite with us, ended up moving off campus to an apartment with his friend. So the school automatically assigned us a replacement, unfortunately. It was this kid named Rodney. He seemed normal enough. He had blonde short hair, a patchy light beard, almost non-existent eyebrows, and he was really tall. Medium build,
I just pictured that in my head.
He was in the far corner of the suite, next to my room. We each had our own room, so there was 4 of us in the suite. Rodney seemed to keep to himself the first few days, until one day, I came back from class and he was sitting in the living room. He said he had to tell me something, and then told me he has parasomnia, which was the reason he was transferred from his previous dorm. I didn't know what that was until he explained that it's a sleep disorder that may cause me to talk or yell in his sleep due to night terrors.
I never wanted no roommate.
Everyone in the suite to be aware of it so that we wouldn't
even when I was in high school thinking about college, I'm like, I don't want to stay with nobody.
The first real conversation I had with the guy made me more uncomfortable than anything. I was hoping I'd get to know him on a more personal level, not find out he has a sleeping disorder. I also didn't entirely get why he thought it was necessary to tell me that.
Right.
I texted in the dorm group chat we made with Cody still in it if Rodney had told them as well about his sleeping disorder yet. They all said no, and followed that with laughter and confusion. When my other 2 suite mates got back later, we hung out in the common room and discussed why we thought Rodney's sleep disorder could have been the reason for him to be transferred from his previous dorm.
What you mean by that?
Then Rodney walked in and right past
us,
giving us a slight sup. He went.
Green is the new black. Who dorm room is this, and what y'all mean by that? What y'all mean by that?
To his room and shut the door.
I want to know.
We had the TV on loud.
Somebody comment down below. What they mean by that?
That night, I heard a knock at my door in the middle of the night. I asked who it was, no reply. I ignored it, and I thought to myself, what if it was Rodney? The next day, I asked my friends if either of them knocked on my door last night, and they both texted me saying no. Cody was having a great laugh from all of this. I was already freaked out and was hoping this wouldn't be a regular thing because it was disturbing already. A few nights later, it got worse.
Nigga got transferred
it was the middle of the night. I had already woken up, checked my phone, and saw 2 a.m. I heard footsteps outside in the little hallway of the common area, and again, a knock at my door. I didn't answer this time. I knew it was Rodney, and he was starting to freak me out. He clearly was a heavy sleepwalker. I texted the group chat again, right then and there at 2 a.m., telling them it just happened again. They didn't respond until morning time, saying they didn't hear anything. It must have been because Rodney's room was right next to mine. That day, I knocked on Rodney's door and asked him if it had been him knocking on my door in the middle of the night. He told me he had no recollection of doing so, but then apologized because he didn't mention that part of his parasomnia is sleepwalking. He told me it was completely harmless and to not worry, but I didn't exactly view it as completely harmless if it was waking me up in the middle of the night, freaking me out. A certain amount of time passed that I can't remember.
And you in college, so you got classes.
4 days. There hadn't been any other random middle-of-the-night knocks on the door, which I was happy about. But this story wouldn't be told if something else didn't happen. I woke up to noise in my room. I looked around the dark room and spotted Rodney, in the corner of the room, facing the wall, muttering to himself.
Ain't no way, bro.
I said Rodney's name, and he turned in my direction and kept saying, "Open the door, open the door." I was genuinely disturbed. He looked in my direction, but it didn't seem like he was looking at me. Rather through me. I saw a smile on his face, and I heard what seemed to be a small laugh as he walked out of the room and out of my view. I didn't know if I was supposed to wake him up or not. I know nothing about sleepwalking and sleep disorders.
Right.
There was silence now. I grabbed my phone and was about to text my friends, but I was interrupted by
y'all not in
this
the same
definitely loud
place?
banging on a door outside, accompanied with Rodney's voice screaming, "Open the door." He was screaming it like a maniacal madman.
So they don't hear that?
I ran to the common area and saw him at the opposite end of the hall, thrashing his fists on one of our suite mates' doors. I ran to Rodney and started shaking him to wake up. My two friends came out of their rooms to the commotion as well.
I'm about to
We all
say.
started to shake Rodney until he stopped, looked at all three of us, and with this blank look on his face, said, "I'm sorry, guys," and walked to his room and shut the door. The three of us stood there in shock.
Okay. I was about to say, where they at? They don't hear all this?
The neighboring room must have called campus police because they showed up at our door. We had to tell them the truth. Rodney spoke with them for a while, then he went back to his room. I made sure not to leave my room unlocked again that night.
I bet.
The next day, Rodney was gone,
But why
without
would
a
you
trace of him ever having been there.
Dang, that's crazy.
Like I said, I know nothing about sleepwalking or any of that stuff. But that didn't look like sleepwalking to me.
Hold on, y'all.
I don't know what was or is currently going on in that guy's head, but he needs to get help.
Real bad.
Hey, he need help real bad.
I got along fine with my college roommate, Stacy. She was a messy one sometimes,
But
other
hey,
than
but
that, we had no problems.
Rodney, if he know he got that
Each other's
condition,
stuff
why
all
would
the
you
time.
get a dorm
At our
with
school,
somebody?
we
Why
had
wouldn't you
bunk
get a
beds,
room
which
by
I think
yourself?
are kind of unusual in college dorms.
Like, it's just you.
I was on the top
College
bunk
is
because
off
I was
that.
the lighter sleeper.
Why we-
And
why?
Stacy was
Why
always
we-
constantly getting up in the middle of the
Weird.
night, so she'd definitely be waking me up if I were on the bottom. There was this one night that still sticks with me to this day, only because I don't really know how to logically explain it. Stacy and I were in our room studying. I was at my desk and she was in her bed.
Okay.
I had a big presentation the next day for one of my classes, so I was just going over my talking points again. In fact, I practiced them to Stacy a few times, and she acted as my audience,
Okay.
then asking questions afterwards. She told me I could borrow one of her tops tomorrow if I need to for my presentation, as I didn't have any nice, formal kinds of tops with me at school. After helping me review, she went back to her studying for a little more, then she went to sleep. I wasn't done studying, but as a courtesy, I turned off my desk lamp and went up to my bunk and kept studying there on my laptop. Stacy would snore sometimes, so when she started snoring, I knew she was asleep. I continued my studying and rehearsing for another half hour to an hour before closing my laptop screen, putting it at the end of my bed, then going to sleep.
That's another reason why I
I
never
woke
wanted
up
a
at like
roommate.
5 a.m. when
Not
light
about
was
to keep
just
me up.
barely
I'm
starting
a
to
light
creep into
sleeper.
the almost pitch black room through the windows. I heard Stacy down below me, walking around. I groggily said Stacy's name, and she answered with, "Mm-hmm." I asked her if I could still borrow a nice top to wear for my presentation later that day. She went, "Mm-hmm," again. I heard her open her closet door. I said thanks. I looked down at her and saw her bent over in the closet. Then she got out and waved at me as she went to leave the dorm. The sound of the door closing snapped me out of my daze just a bit more. I remember grabbing my phone to check the time, and just to naturally check for any notifications. It was around 5 a.m. I wondered where Stacy could have been going. Most likely the bathroom, like she often would in the middle of the night. The waving was just a bit unusual, though. But then, I heard a snore from below me in the lower bunk.
I know you freaking lying.
At first I thought I imagined it. Like, how could that be possible? I peered my head over the edge of the top bunk, and there was Stacy under the sheets. Did I just dream seeing Stacy in her closet? No, because I looked at the closet door, and it was still open. I quickly hurried to the door to the room and went out to look into the hallway on both sides. There wasn't a soul in sight, but it had been at least 5 minutes since I heard the door shut. I shook Stacy awake and told her someone was just in our room. It took a few moments for her to fully wake up and snap to reality.
Y'all hearing
She
this?
showed major concern for her and rushed to check her closet for anything stolen. Nothing was stolen, though. I still to this day don't know who that was or how she got in. I reported it to university police, but their investigation and review of the camera in the lobby of the building turned up nothing. But I know for a fact it wasn't a hallucination or dream.
Nah, that's crazy, gang. That's crazy,
Don't
gang.
advertise on Google Ads or Facebook before blocking click fraud and click-cease. Not if
Oh, no. That's exactly why
My freshman year in the
I
University
would
of
never
Alabama.
had. Well, I
I had
already
gotten my
graduated, but
roommate's
that's why I
information
never
a few
believed
weeks
in
in
that.
advance, and his name was Brandon. This was back in 2013. We had been in contact in the weeks before classes would start. However, due to family-related reasons, Brandon had to switch to a different school right before classes even began. So for the first weekend, as everyone else was meeting their roommates, I was unpacking alone, still not yet assigned a replacement roommate. I did meet some of the other kids on my floor, though. They were nice. Then, that Sunday night, my roommate arrived. He was walking through the dorm hall with a backpack looking confused. I asked him if he had just been transferred into this building, and he said yes. I asked him if he was in dorm number 5. That wasn't the actual number of my room, I'm just using that for the story. But he said yes, that was his room. So I shook his hand, gave him my name, and told him I was his roommate. He told me his name was Robert, but to call him Bob.
I can't sleep around no stranger.
I never met someone named Robert who preferred to be called Bob. I led Bob to the dorm, in which I had already decorated and furnished on my side. His side was still empty. He plopped his backpack on his bed and looked at me and smiled for a bit, then said in a slight Turkish accent that he didn't have all of his stuff yet. He opened his backpack and pulled out a sheet which he threw over his bed. Since it was already past 9 and tomorrow was the first day of class, Bob and I just sat on our respective beds chatting. I tried to read his vibe at first, as you do when meeting a new person, let alone your roommate. I couldn't really get a good read on him though. He seemed a little quieter. He had this very deep voice and maybe a slightly awkward vibe to him. But I was purposely not judging because people can be nervous when meeting other people for the first time. Anyway,
hey, what up, loud, bro? Hey, you my roommate? Yeah, I'm your roommate. Alright, for sure. What your name is, God?
It looked incredibly uncomfortable. I had no idea how or why.
Hey, you respect my stuff, I respect your stuff. We're gonna be cool. Hey, where you from?
He accepted it. I eventually fell asleep past 10. And do you ever wake up to something but you don't know what it was? That happened to me that night. I was confused why I woke up because I didn't hear anything. But that was the freaky thing. It was dead silent in there, not even the sound of Bob breathing. I flipped to my side and screamed at the tall figure looming over my bedside. I came to the realization that it was Bob after he started apologizing and said that he was just going to the bathroom. My heart was beating like it was running a marathon. I couldn't even think to ask him why he was standing over my bed like that if he was just going to the bathroom. He apologized again as he went back to his bed.
Hey, man.
I told him it's okay.
Folks be on that.
Needless to say, I was wide awake after that.
Couldn't have been me. I wouldn't have been back to sleep.
I slept on my side with my back to him the rest of the night, though, trying to avoid the uncomfortableness. The next morning, I woke up to my alarm, and I saw Bob was still laying in his bed, likely pretending to be sleeping still. I went through my bag to get my books and such, and I had this feeling in my gut that something was moved in my bag, like it was gone through. I looked up at Bob again, and he was still allegedly sleeping. I decided to take a couple of my more valuable things and throw them in my backpack that I took to class.
The fact that he turned his back to bro.
I emailed the housing department.
You turned your back to bro. Crazy. You went back to sleep. Crazy.
And then submitted a room change request online, stating my roommate made me uncomfortable.
Like what?
After class that day, I returned to my dorm and was confused to notice the door was being held open with a door stopper. I noticed Bob had a big duffel bag on his bed now.
Duffel bag?
I guessed he was unpacking.
He was trapped?
I laid in my bed on my laptop, and eventually Bob came in. He greeted me and went to his bed, where he took his duffel bag and put it under the bed, and he literally just looked at me with this empty expression. I pretended to not really notice, but his weirdness was really bothering me. I finally looked back at him with not a friendly expression, and he gave me a slight nod. Then he climbed into his bed and just laid there on his phone. Eventually, I went out to the dining hall for dinner. When I came back, Bob was still there. I didn't know what his deal was, if he'd ever leave the dorm or what. I asked him if he had class that day. He said yes, but just one. That night, after turning the lights off, I noticed Bob leaning on the wall in his bed, on his phone. I constantly felt like he was looking at me. I was
nigga. Bob would have been gone so fast.
Saw they responded. But it wasn't the response I was hoping
sneak
for.
Me in your room
the
real
lady
quick,
who emailed me back expressed confusion in my
this nigga on some weird job.
My replacement roommate
Please
had not yet
stop
been assigned,
on the floor. Please ask
no
your
one
roommate,
else
can
in
I
the
just
room
come
with
in
me.
for the night?
I looked at Bob,
till I can go
back
and see about a new roommate.
I was about to ask him if he had his key to the room on him. I didn't ask that though. I put my laptop and other belongings in my backpack and duffel bag as he just watched. He didn't say anything, and I think he knew that I knew. I left the room without saying anything, went to a safe place, and called campus police to report him. By the time they arrived to the dorms, Bob, or whatever his real name was gone.
What?
Along with his little bit of stuff. I found out that night that he stole some clothes from me, my iPhone charger, and some of the food I stored in my closet.
And he robbed
As for what he was doing watching me sleep, I could only imagine he was making sure I was asleep before going through my stuff. I had a completely random, possibly homeless person in my room for basically an entire 24 hours. My real roommate moved in 2 days later.
I know you freaking lying. What? I was thinking this nigga was in there with a killer. But I wasn't even his real roommate. Oh. Oh.
Business online?
Oh.
And get your site up and running with a tailored creation experience. Add what you need for your business and pick a design that matches your...
Yo, God was with this man, bro. God was with this man, bro. That was never his real roommate. Hey, God bless that man that he's still allowed to be able to tell that story, boy. That's crazy. And he art finesse. Ah. Telling y'all, hey, for all the people that's going to college, that's in college, unless your roommate cool, all right, for sure. But if you stay off campus and think about, oh, I want to stay on campus for more campus experience, or you about to go to college, bruh, don't get no roommate. Don't get no roommate. Just go ahead, spend that little extra money, and get your own room, bro. Get your own place on campus. Just you. Nobody sleeping in the same room as you. Nobody can knock on your door from in y'all little apartment. Y'all know, if you've been in college, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it ain't 4 rooms with 1 kitchen. Like, it ain't none of that. It's just you in that kitchen. You feel me? Like that. Or it's just you in that dorm. That's what you need to go for. Don't get no roommate. Hey, man, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a stranger about me, and tell your friends and your family and your secret lover and your real lover about me. And tell them to subscribe. And make sure you leave a comment on what you want to see. Hey, comment down below what y'all think about this, though, because that was, wow. I didn't expect that ending. I didn't expect that ending at all. So, hey, remember, you can go anywhere. You can do anything as long as you take yourself with you. Monster Mom, man, we out. Peace.